Congressman Peter DeFazio, brilliantly and ably representing the 4th District of Oregon. DeFazio, DeFazio.house.gov is his website. Congressman, welcome.
Thanks, Tom. Sorry I was delayed. I was just over on the floor voting against the National Defense Authorization Bill, which essentially Congress has totally ducked on ISIS, Syria, and Iraq, and they gave the president a 2-year blank check in the middle of this massive bill, and I find that to be outrageous.
Really? So there no congressional oversight of war, basically.
Oh, he's going to have to report monthly about what they're doing to the Armed Services Committee.
Right. Huh. Remarkable. But it's going to pass, right?
Yeah, it was passing by a pretty substantial margin.
Did they also include language in it that once again forbids the president from closing Gitmo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. Now, you in the state of Oregon, the GMO labeling. I was talking to Sean, our producer, who lives in Oregon, this morning or yesterday morning, I guess it was, and she said that there's still a recount going on. They still don't know.
Yeah, there is, but our machines are pretty foolproof. The no's picked up 7, the yeses picked up 4, with 3, after the first 3 or 4 counties. It's a 600. Over a 600 vote margin. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
But what was good, the campaign, there were a bunch of challenge ballots because we have vote by mail, and they challenged people's signatures or they forgot to sign. And those we got the campaign was so well organized. They got a bunch of those people to go to the county clerks and get their votes counted. And we started out a couple of thousand down, and got within 600. So it's it's got to be a wake up call to this industry. You've spent $100,000 now on this. Oregon was the most expensive initiative in the history of the state. Outspent the proponents 4-1, and you won by like 1/100th of 1%. And if we put it on in a presidential year, we'll win.
Right.
So,
and we will, by the way.
Yeah, that would be my preference, but
yeah.
I wasn't one of the petitioners. But yeah, I will support it again.
Yeah, remarkable. You are also on the.
We got a threat that this guy from Kansas, Pompeo, he has a bill where the states' rights Republicans would preempt states' rights and say states don't have the right to require disclosure or labeling. And they're going to hold a hearing on that bill next week. I've asked to be allowed to testify, but I think they're just a little too short of time to allow me to testify.
Oh, it's incredible. How can these guys not? I don't understand how Republicans around the country, when they look at the behavior of the Republican representatives like this, where they're just selling out to these giant corporations, don't get it, how badly screwed they're being by the Republican Party. I don't get it.
Boy, I sure don't either.
Yeah.
They are trampling on, civil liberties. I mean, they're the ones who killed the minor. I would want much more major revision to the Patriot Act that Senator Leahy tried to move. So civil liberties issues, they aren't good. States' rights issues, they're not good. Certainly not, good on women's issues. So it is amazing to me that somehow enough people are bamboozled by watching Fox or something else to think that these Republicans care about them and their families.
Yeah. Well, even NPR this morning, I heard a report. They were talking about how many people are not covered by Obamacare. And they mentioned, in about half the states, Medicaid has not been expanded. And then the questioner just moved right along rather than saying, well, why is that?
Right.
What can we do about that?
Yeah. Republican.
No, let's not talk about that.
Well, it was the Supreme Court and Republican-dominated states because the Supreme Court
You're right.
ruled that we couldn't read.
Yeah, and they don't want to talk about either one of them.
Yeah.
Congressman DeFazio, would you like to stick around and can you?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, hang on. We will be back with Congressman Peter DeFazio, and maybe we can even pick up some of your calls. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And you can visit Peter DeFazio, Congressman Peter DeFazio's site at defazio.house.gov. and welcome back. Congressman DeFazio, you're still on the line with us?
Yeah, I am.
Cool. I'm curious your thoughts on and how Oregon is, or your district in Oregon, which is a largely white district, if my memory serves me correct, are responding to the events in Staten Island and Ferguson et al. Your thoughts on all of that?
There have been some demonstrations and vigils in Eugene, a fairly substantial one in Eugene and Corvallis, and then of course up in Portland. So there is there's a strong concern, at least in the university towns. I heard a lot after the Ferguson shooting about the militarization of the police, and a lot of things came out about that time. I had no idea the surplus program was giving MRAPs and things like that to little. I can't remember, one really remote Oregon county got an MRAP, and I'm like,
which is a tank,
right?
That?
It's not a very good off-road vehicle for if that's what they're thinking. And we have the president is taking executive action to rein in that program and make sure that what's being provided to police is more appropriate. I'll give you something that's really appropriate that's been provided. Mm-hmm. I was in Gold Beach, Oregon, little tiny Gold Beach, Oregon, one of my small, beautiful coastal cities, and the police just they'd like to hang around when I'm having town hall meetings. I was doing my August swing. Just to make sure there's no issues. And I looked at the chief and I said, "What's that?" He says, "Oh, that's a camera. We got video cameras. Homeland Security gave us a grant. So every police officer in Gold Beach, Oregon, has a video camera on any." And I said, "How's it working?" I said, "Oh, it's great." He says, "There's no question in what happened and what went down when you're wearing one of these." So I saw recently that someone is proposing. I would propose that. Federal government partner with police all across the country, and get everybody these video cameras for the future.
Yeah, I agree. We brought this up a couple of days ago at some length on the program, and a number of people called in from towns where they're using the video cameras. In particular, one in New Mexico, as I recall, and said that for some reason the cameras keep getting turned off whenever there's something, or the data gets lost when a cop is charged with having committed a crime. And Shano, our associate producer, who's a law school graduate, suggested that much like when you get pulled over for a breathalyzer test, if you don't take it, then the presumption of innocence goes away, and now you're presumed guilty until you demonstrate you're innocent. That if a police officer turns off his camera, that same dynamic should happen. Thoughts on that?
I'm not really well. First, I'm not a lawyer, and secondly, I don't know. It's not going to be an issue in Oregon. If we get the police these cameras, they'll use them, and they're not going to be intentionally shutting them off. Now, there can be times of failures, or you can get shot in the camera or whatever. Something could happen to it, but obviously, I would say that intentionally shutting off the camera, would be subject to some sort of legal proceeding or disciplinary review by that force. Yeah,
you would hope. Yeah. Congressman Peter DeFazio is on the line with us. We'll be back with more of Congressman DeFazio right after this. Stick around. His website, defazio.house.gov. It's 10 minutes before the end. Congressman Peter DeFazio on the line with us, defazio.house.gov, representing the 4th District of Oregon. And Congressman, there's two things that I wanted to get to in my conversation with you that we haven't gotten to yet. One is apropos of this GMO story. We did this as a story both last night and today. The you and Barbara Boxer and some celebrity chefs are talking about GMO labeling. I wanted to get into that, and then I also wanted to get into you being the ranking member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and this 60 Minutes report, Falling Apart, America's Neglected Infrastructure. Your choice, which goes first, or if you want to talk about these topics.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I'll talk about transportation first because, as you know, I think every time I'm on your show, I say we want to put America back to work. We want to be competitive in the world economy.
Yep.
We got to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. The capital investments we made in the last century are wearing out, and we have a huge problem. We got 70,000 bridges that are structurally deficient. If I had my way, would post a big sign at every one of those bridges and saying, because of a lack of funds, you're about to drive over a structurally deficient bridge. Drive quickly.
Right.
And see if we can get the public's attention. Actually, I don't know that the problem is with the public. I think that we could go out and talk about, I've got an idea to do away with the retail gas tax and put the tax on the oil flowing into the refinery, so maybe the oil industry will carry part of the burden. There are ways we could fund the investments we need to make. I don't know that the American public is resistant, but I sure serve with a bunch of gutless people who haven't been willing to step forward for the last 10 years and talk about what really needs to be done. We've got to rebuild this infrastructure. It's going to be expensive, but we have report after report after report. $1 billion investment, transportation infrastructure is between 28 and 30,000 jobs. These aren't just construction jobs. Other people say, well, Congressman, I don't do construction. I say, no, hey, guess what? They're not just construction jobs. If you're doing a transit system, it's engineering, it's high tech, it's manufacturing. If you've got a small business, if you've got a minority, business enterprise, there's requirements for you, huge Buy America requirements. The multiplier factor is fabulous, and we'll get people out of congestion, stop wasting fuel, creating air pollution, and be more competitive in the world economy. Now, how about that?
Yeah, and if you want to see how it works, just look at China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of the few mostly bipartisan havens left on the Hill. We have our partisan disagreements, but we did one really good bill on water resources development this year, truly bipartisan, and one of the only meaningful bills to pass this really lame Congress. And, so I'm hopeful that dealing with the Federal Aviation Administration and 21st Century Air Traffic Control System to move people more efficiently through the skies, a surface transportation bill, an Amtrak bill. I'm hopeful we can do some real things that will have real benefit and put people back to work.
Yeah. I've always argued that, and I realize it would be a different committee because of the way Congress is organized, but that one of our most important infrastructures that has been largely ignored since the Reagan Revolution, and in fact actually went retrograde with Reagan becoming governor of California, is our intellectual infrastructure. We have people who can't afford to go to college. They can't afford to go to trade school.
Yep. No, during my campaign, I talked about things I had done to create real jobs, things I wanted to do that I hadn't gotten done to create real jobs, and I talked about what we're doing to our young generation in terms of the mountain of debt we're saddling them with, even in Oregon. I mean, the state has pulled so much money out of higher ed. I think 7% of the University of Oregon's budget now comes from the state. The rest of it they're raising with fees and tuition out of the students. And kids are graduating with a mound of debt, which restricts their job opportunities after college. And there was a report came out just a couple of months ago saying every year there's 450,000 young college graduates with jobs, and there's a hell of a lot of them haven't been able to get a job, who can't afford to buy a house. Because
of their student loan debt.
Their student debt.
Yeah. So they're not starting families. They're not building equity. They're not preparing for their middle years and their retirement. They're just treading water.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a tragedy. And that's investment in human capital. I mean, we should. If I had my ways, we'd have a capital budget here in Washington, and capital would be all the normal things like infrastructure. Buildings, those sorts of things, but it would also be human capital in terms of investment and education. That's something you can't short.
Yeah. No, we look around the world.
You can short it, but the results are disastrous.
Yeah, we look around the world, and everybody's doing this. I mean, even China. It's incredible. Also, I thought this was amazing that you and Barbara Boxer. Did you guys organize this thing where these celebrity chefs came to Capitol Hill and said, "We want to know what's in genetically modified ingredients in the food that we're serving our customers"?
Well, Tom Colecchio is a real activist chef, both on hunger issues and on food safety and consumer issues. And so he's not a stranger. He's been here before, lobbying the Congress. He brings star power. He had Jose Andres with him and a whole bunch of other prominent chefs. And it kind of, we got a lot of foodies around here, even among members of Congress.
Sure.
It's a whole new, a whole new group of people that are raising concerns on the Hill about hunger and food safety and consumer rights in terms of the right to know what's in their food. And I think the Center for Food Safety organized the event, but it was fun. And Shelley Pingree from Maine, who has a absolutely fabulous restaurant up there, all locally sourced. She hosted an event after where Jose's staff prepared some fabulous food. So
great.
It was a great day altogether.
That's great. Yeah, everybody eats. Everybody likes to eat. Congressman Peter DeFazio, thank you for dropping by today, and thanks for the great work you're doing on the Hill, sir.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Great talking with you.